Today, we're focusing on the worldwide induction to Kreston Week, a really great introduction. But let's not start yet. We've opened the virtual doors and I can see people running through in an orderly manner. So if you can do that virtually. So we're just going to let people join. We've had a tremendous interest in Kreston Week, and I would say particularly this event, I was told just earlier we have over 160 people registered. So that's fantastic, and welcome to you all as I can see that you are joining. So what we do is we just give people 30 seconds to grab that cup of tea or coffee or water and to sit down and enjoy yet another fantastic Kreston Week initiative. So let's just be patient for 30 seconds and then we will start the webinar. So thank you as you are all joining. I've got a little ticker. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see as people are joining, and it is great to see more and more people joining. So I am being prompted fantastically to do some housekeeping. Why not? Let's get organized. So in terms of the housekeeping, there's hopefully you can see the screen ahead of you. And there's a couple of things you may want to do. So this is a really interactive session. I think you're going to love it. We've got some videos to show you. We've got a panel discussion going on. I've got questions already for Induction Day. Maybe you have. Get them ready. Get them ready. And why don't you ask your questions through the Q&A? Now, the Q&A, look at the bottom of your screen. Hopefully you can see it. And if you send those questions, we might handle them at the end, or we might handle them as we go. They might just fit in nicely to one of the sessions we're doing. But please send us your questions. Chat. This is if you need technical support. So we've got two great members of our team behind the scenes, making sure this all goes well, and they're there to help you technically. So don't hesitate. If you've got any technical issues, you don't know how to use the Q&A function, or you can't hear, or whatever it is, you put that through chat and they will help you. This event is being recorded, and I just know at the end of this event, you're probably going to say, oh, I wish my colleague so-and-so had heard that event, because only yesterday they were asking me about Kreston Global, and they were asking me about how they could get involved. Don't worry, it's being recorded, and it's going to be made available to all of you, and it will be posted as ever on Kreston Community, our fantastically rich members resource. So I hope I've covered all the housekeeping and we can just go forward. So what's today about? Well, let's look at the content slide. I hope it's probably pretty clear to you. We've got quite a few things going on. I'm going to describe it in three parts, if I may. The first part, as I said, we've got videos to show you and a panel discussion. The first part is really to look a little bit about where has Kreston Global come from. Lovely video to show you on that. And then I'm going to hand over to the panel and get their comments on that, and also talk about the future. I mean, that's where we've come from. Where do we want to go? The next sort of section is, again, it's a fantastic interview. And all these interviews, I must stress, have been done by a pool of talent who are our rising stars and our future managers, the people who will inherit Kreston in the future and be our leaders of tomorrow. So they have been the ones that have taken the initiative to interview whoever they wanted across the network to get their views and understand more about their thinking. So you'll see two of them because they're conducting an interview with Rich Howard, who's our chair, and me, and talking about sort of governance issues. How's the network run? How does the board interact with the central office? Last, but certainly not least, is a great sort of very practical, I would say, video and discussion about member benefits. You're going to see a little sort of video reel of, I think it's 3 or 4 people talking about the different benefits they get from being a member of Kreston. And again, we'll be bringing in our panel, who I'm going to introduce to you in a minute. And then at the end, we will just look at the closing remarks. So what's this all about, though? What are we trying to achieve with this meeting and this recording? Well, this is all a chance to give new firms, and goodness, haven't we had a lot of new firms recently? How wonderful. Welcome to you all. I'm thinking 13 at last count in just very sort of in the last 12 months. But we always value our existing firms who've been our bedrock for many years. And also our existing firms have new colleagues joining. And all these people want to do one thing, and that's find out more about Kreston, find out about its history, its governance, how it's run, and what are we actually working on. Importantly, people want to know what value Kreston can bring to their firms. So hopefully this session will help do that. Importantly, and I've sort of stressed this, but I don't think you can stress it enough, what you're really going to hear today is not me. It's actually the voices of our Gen Z. Sadly, I'm not a Gen Z. So the voices of our Gen Z, the voices of our future leaders, the people we're going to be handing Kreston to run in the future. And they're really here now as well, because they're really helping us make sure that the actions we're taking today that will shape the future and shape future developments are in line with the issues they see. These could be technical issues. These could be issues around global change. These could be shared issues around recruitment, retention. But we really are hearing these colleagues' voices as consultants to Kreston now to talk about our initiatives and get their input on what we're doing well and what we need to consider. And this team have really, as I said, been interviewing some people all across the network. Now, I'm going to show you snippets of video. I really wanted to run a feature-length film today, but I was told by the team that might not be appropriate. So we're going to give you some snippets, and all these videos you can find in depth, and you can use them for your own induction in your own firms to find out more about Kreston. But let's start by looking at a brief history of Kreston. So I now need you to come back with me to 1971. We're going to go back 50 years. Sadly, I can go back 50 years. Many of you might not, but I can. So follow me. We're going to go to 1971, and we're going to watch a 2-minute video on the history of Kreston before I speak to our panel about the future. So a 2-minute video will now play. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Now that was all about where we have come from. So thank you for joining me on that fast journey of 50 years. But I think there's something more important to discuss, which is where are we going in the future? We're working with some very big themes at the moment. I'm sure you're keeping up to date on some of them, but they are big, aren't they? And we need to know what we should be working on. I mean, I don't know. When I watched the video, I saw lots of firms joining, lots of growth, all really exciting stuff, actually. I love that change from an association to a network. Lots of good things. But let me turn over to the panel and let me start by introducing them. And I'm going to, what I will do, hopefully you can see our panel on screen. I will just introduce you all, and maybe you'd be so kind as to say, what do you do for your firm and how long you have been there? So let me go, I'm just going to go order of my screen. So let me start. John James Achenbach from Kreston, South Africa. How are you?
Well, Lisa, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really well, and you?
Yeah, great. A bit cold, colder than South Africa, I imagine, but thank you for asking.
No, don't do the jackets pull you. It's quite hot here, so.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
So, John James, you're at Kreston, South Africa. Great, very engaged firm. How long have you been there and what do you do there?
So I basically started at Kreston as a trainee. So I started in 2019, finished my articles last year, and then applied for the role of an audit supervisor. And from there on, I've been assisting the partner with reviews on in the assurance and reporting department, as well as tax, and just giving general guidance to trainees and helping them work up their way to becoming a CA.
That sounds great. Congratulations. I can already see some development there. So congratulations. So John James, may I start with you? Let me pick on you to start with.
No worries.
We talk a lot at Crescent about purpose. For us, what that means is sort of our role in the wider society beyond us being an accounting network. And I just want to know, because we love talking about it, does it mean anything to you? Does it resonate with you and your colleagues? Do you think it makes us attractive as an employer? What could you talk about that a little bit and give us your views?
No, definitely. I think purpose is very important because that's the direction you're going to go. Without direction, you're just going to be at a standstill. So for me as a trainee, when I actually started at Kreston, the reason why I chose Kreston was the partner was open and honest with me. She gave me direction, she gave me purpose. She said, this is what you're going to do. And mainly she said, you're going to add value. You're not just going to tick and bash. You're not just going to sit there and check invoices, take it to the bank statement, agree, all those kind of stuff. You're going to actually add value. And that was quite nice. That was something that the other firms didn't ask. The other firms asked technical questions from the get-go. We led it, our firm led up to that when we started. So they first wanted to ask, what do I do, what do I expect? And that management expectations is important. So that all shaped like increased my knowledge of what it's going to be, what the purpose is going to be going forward. And I think that's important for the trainees to get that from the get-go as well. Because essentially, when you start as a trainee, you don't know anything. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to do. And for giving you purpose from the interview process already. So when the trainee gets his mind around where he's going to be in 6 months, what his role is going to be at the firm, that already gives him more confidence to pitch up and do better quality work and make better connections. So it's really important. And for purpose in terms of the wider range, definitely, I think society sees accountants as just pen pushers. We just sit there, bean counters, but we give so much more. We give so much more value in terms of where it's not just outside money, but how to better your controls. With that, your stress of employees is going to be less because they're going to make less mistakes. They're going to feel more valued and more appraised through that process. And I think that is really important to drill that in from the get-go. And just to explain what the purpose is, especially going onwards after your trainee, after your articles, after you sign up as a CA. Many people don't know that. Like they think, okay, so either stay in auditing, go on in a role as a FM or financial accountant. There's actually so much more you can do. And I think that is shaped in this time of your training contract with the purpose that was given to you through down from your managers, from your partners, from even your fellow trainees.
That's great. Thank you. That's really interesting. So if firms are listening, I think it's all about, as you say, sort of setting expectations to start with. Yes, we have technical roles and we love that. But it's more than a technical role. It's also a role that fits into a wider meaning. Because I'm like you, John James, people think one thing about accountants. I find it quite frustrating, actually, because that's not true. They have actually a critical role in society. I just think we're not always good at communicating that. But it's interesting. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Where should we go next? I know. Let's go to visit the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. There we are. My friend is already smiling. Arjun Jayaprasad, welcome. You're from Kreston Menon in ever warm UAE. How are you? How are you doing?
I am absolutely great, Miss Lisa. This is absolutely exciting for me to be a part of this session. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Super.
And yes, I joined Kreston Menon UAE in June. So it's been
this
3
June?
months. Yes.
Great. Welcome.
It's an honor to be a part of this Crescent family.
And what do you do there, Arjun? What's your role at Kreston Menon?
Yes, I am working in audit. So
Okay.
I've just started off, and I'd say, yeah, that's basically, I don't think I can give the introduction that Mr. John just gave, because yeah, I'm a newbie. So yep.
Well, I think that's great in a way that you are that new, because then I've got a very specific question for you.
All right, then. Shoot.
Let's see how we go with this one. So you're very, very new. So tell me, what was it about a Kreston Menon that appealed to you during the application process? And this must be fresh in your mind because it's only a few months ago. So what was it? What should other firms think about?
Okay, so as I finished my ACC exams, my objective was clear, and I wanted an understanding of how audit worked. So I used to pester my mentors and my gurus on how I should find a place and hone my skills with respect to my PER. So each time I asked my seniors and my fellow mates, a frequent name that appeared was Kreston Menon. And I must say, this is something that I believe is absolutely true. Kreston Menon is the Hogwarts to a multitude of individuals that have sprouted impeccable professionals in the field. So when I came to know about this vacancy at Crescent, which was through a friend of Crescent, I was head over heels, and I just wanted to grab that opportunity. So I think knowledge learned would always be knowledge earned when we put it into practice. Right. So Kreston Menon, being an organization that has a sound set of individuals with solid skills and qualifications, I was sure this was the destination that I need to be in to start off my professional journey. So I still remember the day I had my interview with Mr. Saju Augustin, senior partner, Kreston Menon.
Very good friend to the network.
Yes,
Saju's a very good friend.
A great man. His instructions were absolutely clear and precise. He said, in order for excellence to be attained, you have to thrive for it. And it was a confirmation that what I had was true, that I heard that the company is one of the best in the network. And as I was inducted into the organization, it was a confirmation that it is a conducive learning environment, as everyone at the firm, my seniors, I must take the name. I'm not able to take names, but at the same time, I must say they're one of the best people.
Yeah.
They give me the best points to improve. Let it be the silliest of doubts. They're highly effective in giving out their opinions on making me a better professional. So in simple terms, I'd say Kreston Menon, a company that has got a diversified client base, helps to foster the growth of individuals to be ideal professionals. So that was what appealed to me during the application process to decide that this is the place I want to be.
Super, Arjun. That's great. It sounds that Kreston Menon isn't just talking about being a super brand, but they're living that experience. And I hope you've bought that friend a dinner already, but I will leave that between you and your friend that recommended you.
Yes, I
Thank
do.
you, and welcome again to your global family. We're going to hear from you soon.
Sure.
So let me go to my fellow friend in the cold UK. As you may have gathered, we've had a bit of a change of climate here. So that means Chloe will know I'm coming to her. So I'm going to introduce you now to Chloe Driscoll, who's from Duncan and Topless in the UK. Chloe, hello.
Hi Lisa, how are you?
Cold, how are you?
Very cold.
But very well, thank you for asking. So Chloe, tell me, how long have you been at Duncan and Topless and what do you do there?
So I've been with Duncan and Topless since 2018, so almost coming up on 5 years soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm part of the corporate advisory team. So I specialise in a number of different projects, primarily sort of corporate restructuring and also moving on to the international side now.
Very exciting. Well then, given you've got 5 years experience there and you mentioned international, so let me just ask you a direct question then. So how does Kreston Global influence your day-to-day work of you or maybe your colleagues? And are there other things that you want to get out of it or that we should be giving you?
For me, the main way that Kreston impacts day-to-day work, especially on that international side with international work, is the ability to share ideas and the ease of communication across the network. There's a number of clients that we work with where usually if they wanted advice covering several countries, let's say, they might have to engage a number of different firms. We can then offer that direct contact approach, which a lot of clients appreciate, because we can just liaise directly with people across the Kreston network. And in addition to providing a great and seamless service to our client, it's also enabled me to develop a great amount of connections, especially while I've been training.
That's just perfect. I think, do you know what, Chloe, I've always thought if I could give somebody any advice, not that they may or may not ask me, connections. You've said the exact word. If you are connected across the world, you can make things happen.
Definitely. And one side which has been really interesting for me, in addition to finding out about the difference of taxes and things, all over the globe, is also just the different practices.
Right. What, from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, country to country?
Yes.
Yeah. But I bet your clients must appreciate that you don't have to know them all, but you have to know how to get them answered.
No, exactly.
That's great, Chloe. Thank you very much. Thank you. And last but not least is Carla Van Coller, also from South Africa. So Carla, welcome. How are you?
Hello, Lisa. Good, thanks, and yourself?
Good, fine, thank you, fine. Now, Carla, I know we start with a bit of congratulations for you, because I understand you've been promoted to Associate Director at Kreston, South Africa. So
thank you very much.
Congratulations, already a success, rising up the ranks there. So, Carla, what do you do there? What do you do at the firm?
I joined 4 years ago at Crescent, Victoria as an audit manager. So I'm also involved in managing audit teams on different clients and different audits in various industries.
Great. And if I think about sort of what we're trying to do here, and we are using you as our wise counsel for the future, what issues do you and your colleagues have your eye on for the future that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, so I think one of our biggest challenges is that not everyone is aware of Kreston necessarily. Okay. So one of my aims is to expand the Kreston footprint in both South Africa and globally. Yes.
That's
and
great.
Then, yes. Yes, and then another one is the lack of retention of talent. So I think we are looking at seeing how we can develop the future generation of Kreston.
I think that's great. Two big issues. Awareness, definitely. I mean, that's partly why we're doing the induction day, but it has to be an ongoing program. And thank you to all of you for everything you're doing, because you're at Kreston ambassadors in your own firms. So thank you for all you do. And as you say, talent, my goodness, I know a lot of firms are on this line thinking, yes, Carla, we're with you. We would have said the same thing. So thank you for that. And so we might even come back to them later. So unless anyone wants to add anything else, I think what we have now will be our next sort of section. And what we're going to be listening to now is a short video. This is 4 minutes, 2 minutes each. This is by two friends of ours. This is Serini and Partha, both in the UAE, and they are interviewing Rich Howard, our chair, and me actually. And I think they're going to pick up some interesting points about how the network is run. So let's enjoy this 4-minute video, and we're going to come back to our panel.
So welcome to Kreston Global Induction Day, and we're very excited to have you on board. For those who have just started their Kreston journey, Mr. Howard is the chairman of the board at Kreston Global. Could you briefly explain what the board's role is?
So the board has a variety of responsibilities. The first, I would say, is to provide governance and oversight. The board also gets involved providing guidance as it relates to the identification of risks and the financial well-being of the organization and the long-term sustainability. The other side is that the board is involved in the strategy. And so from a strategic standpoint, the board helps management in the development of the strategic plan and then monitors the progress of the execution of that plan.
What has been some of the board's greatest accomplishments in the past 3 years?
The last 3 years, we've been really focused on the commercial aspects of the network, allowing firms to get more value from sharing best practices, from joining the global groups, from targeting new opportunities and referrals. And we've also been trying to be very transparent in the way we do things.
There may have been some challenges that the board must have faced. So we would like to know what's the board's approach on tackling these challenges?
Obviously, our board is representative of our network members. Everyone comes with a different perspective. They come with a different background. They come with a different focus. But I think it's been very positive in that whenever we've been presented with a challenge or something that is a difficult decision, and there are some that have come up, we tend to go back to our roots, if you will, in terms of what's our purpose and what are our core values.
I'm sure everyone that's present for this event has learned something new about the board. So thank you, sir, for joining us today. And I hope you have a great day ahead.
Thank you for having me, and you too.
Sure.
This is Parth Raj Maheshwari. Today, I'm going to interview Lisa Robbins, who's the Chief Executive of Kreston Global. How does the Kreston Global network operate at a strategic level?
So I would develop a strategy. I speak to our firms all the time. I listen to what they're telling me. And I have a fantastic team at the centre who also help build that strategy. We then present that to the board and our members, and that strategy would be approved. And then the board really holds me to account. But I think really how we operate at a strategic level is we're aligned to our members, and we're here to deliver what our members need.
What is different about the Kreston Global in comparison to other networks?
So what firms recently have said to us is we want to be a member of Kreston because it allows us to be global, but we run our situation, and that has become, I think, our absolute sweet spot. I would certainly talk about our quality and our quality statement as a network. I would talk about that sweet spot, that whole independence piece, and also our ranking, that we are a top 15.
My next question is, what makes a great network firm?
It's a firm that engages. It's firms that are committed, that wish to share, wish to give before they take. We wish to challenge in a constructive way and really help drive this network and realise they have some ownership of it. And that's then your clients benefit, because when you start talking about Kreston, you really know what you're talking about.
What are your future aspirations for Kreston Global?
So we are on a path. You talked about strategy. We are on, as many people are, the whole concept of purpose. Kreston Global has a massive impact on the societies in which it operates. I feel very passionately about doing the right thing by people and by communities, and I want people to look at Kreston and think, gosh, they started that journey in sort of 2021, 22, and look where they are now. Thank you to Parth and Serini. I think two great interviewers there. I think you'll agree. So that was just a snippet, as I said. These are all feature-length films. But anyway, let's just stick with the snippet for now. So that's all about how the network is run. There was Rich Howard as the chairman of our board talking a bit about what the board does. I was talking a bit about this whole strategic side, which is from the central office. And this is a membership group. That's very, very important. But what we need to make sure is that people's voices are heard. And that's all firms and people at all different levels, whether they've been with us 5 years, whether they've been with us since June. So that's what we're here to do. We need to make sure your voices are heard. So let me start by asking the panel. And Chloe, I'm going to go to you first this time, if you don't mind. Tell me, so Crescent has a board, and we have representation from all the regions. How aware are you of the board?
Yeah, so my understanding of the board is that there's several members across a number of areas, which sort of echoing some of the words of Rich and yourself just there. They sort of meet and develop some strategic plans that they implement for the network, and they sort of connect and oversee. For me, I think it's fantastic, especially with Adrian on the board, being able to have someone that can feed back ideas at that high level and at that global scale.
That's great. So that's Adrian Reynolds, who's your managing partner. That's great.
Correct.
Yeah, so I guess that gives your firm is probably quite a high profile of Kreston within your firm.
Yes, exactly. And it's good having Adrian there, not only so that we can feed back to him, but he can feed back to us. So common issues and themes that might arise out of the Kreston meetings.
That's great. Thank you very much, Chloe. Let me go to Arjun next. Arjun, we're talking about strategy and influence and this being a members group. How would you like to be involved as you progress through your very early career at the moment, but your long career you're going to have at Kreston Menon, I hope?
Yes. So I think this is one of the most important questions that every single organization needs to put forward to bring in new talents and perspectives into place. So on a micro level, I think with respect to beautiful seniors that I've had, they are, they do take us in situations where our opinions are respected, and when they take a decision, they do take that opinion of ours before they reach a conclusion. But if we could, in addition to that, I think if we have a monthly or a quarterly meeting, which consists of the interns and the associates at the junior level, and discuss on their progress and the obstacles that they face, or even ideas which could be spoken to the higher ups, that could make a big difference. This particular mechanism to report on a continuous basis would be a great way to enhance the way how the individuals could see themselves progressing, giving more stress to the quality of work, and keeping a track of it on how their opinions can be given more stress as well. And on a macro level, I think this particular forum is one of the best examples on how Crescent is trying to get the opinions, the ones from different levels as well. So I think it's more important for us to evolve from a network to a strong clan. And for that, I think if we have healthy discussions and debates on different issues around the world, it can basically bring in a lot of people whose perspectives can be understood first. By analyzing those perspectives, the one at the top would definitely be able to understand whether this particular person or this particular person's opinions and points are supposed to be taken, so that we take diversity and merit as one of the core criteria to welcome change. So yes, that's what I believe.
Great, Arjun, that's great. So it's interesting what you're saying. I mean, you're saying sort of, we need communication both ways, which is almost echoing what Chloe said, which was interesting. It's a two-way street, all of this, isn't it? It's about hearing what Creston's doing, but also making sure Kreston and your leaders are listening to you and your views, and that's a regular communication. So thank you very much for that. One of the topics we are working on is the whole ESG piece, which is very large. It's quite an interesting piece, and I know some people go for the environmental side, some for the society side, some for sort of governance side. But let me ask John James. Let me ask you this, if I may. We talk about it a lot. Is it particularly important?
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, you already, between you and Rich in the interview, you basically discussed all the 4 pillars of ESG going forward, how we should handle it. And it's great to see how management in Kreston is handling it and bringing it down towards firm level, and making a unified response, because due to COVID and all this economic downturn that's taking place now, sustainability is most important at the moment. And the thing is with ESG, and there's all this new standards is coming out, like IFRS S1, IFRS S2 coming out now, and it's being published for communication and documentation. A lot of them is going to have questions, and it's amazing for me to see, like, between you, what you and Rich just said, you're already implementing it. So we're already in a position where we can provide our clients better services. We can already help them move to that whole ESG reporting standards, and that's great. And essentially, this whole thing is our whole purpose, like you said, is bringing the firm to a multi-international level and providing better services where we can. And this is going to be done through ESG compliance and sustainability. I think that's the way forward. Like you said, it is environmental, but it's also economic, and it's both. It runs with each other, because essentially, when you're going to be more into environmental, you're going to save economically, and it also flows through to your workforce as well. Like, it's not just like I said, economic or environmental. It's also the people around you that it affects. So it's amazing to see that it's already implemented.
That's great. That's very motivating. So what you're saying is yes, our focus is right. We need to keep going. It's a journey for us. I mean, we have implemented things. You're right. I hope you saw Sustainability Day yesterday for Kreston Week. We had some fantastic Kreston firms who were highlighting all sorts of things, from doing net zero to being services they're offering to their firms. So that's great. That's encouraging, and we will continue to work on ESG and develop. And as you say, as the standards come in, which is going to be a very key driver. So thanks very much for John Jay. So thank you very much for those comments. Carla, we've talked about some things already, haven't we? Like ESG, but are there any other shared global challenges that we need to work on? Because we're coming to Madrid, goodness me, in less than a month, in October, which is our World and EMEA conference, and we'll be discussing our new strategy. We're going to present that to member firms for their feedback. But are there, from your point of view, are there shared global challenges that we need to make sure we've got on our radar? What are your thoughts?
I think given the fast changing working environment that we work in, I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is to stay relevant in the market and to keep up to date with all the changes in technology and the sustainability reporting and all the standards we need to adhere to. And I think another area that one needs to look at is maybe the impact of the fourth industrial revolution in technology and the impact it will have on our clients and the way that we audit going forward. So I think those are.
Thank you. It's again, I think was it last week or the week before. So we've established this global technology group now, actually, for some of the reasons you've said. Some of our firms have technology strategists, many don't, most don't, I would say, actually. And so it's really important, I think. We're slightly emerging on it, I'd say. These colleagues are brilliant and are leading the way for us. But we are trying to do that. So you're really saying some technology in there. We need to stay and staying relevant. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Well, we'll be publishing, hopefully, if the members approve it, our strategy. And we do, want people's ongoing feedback. And of course, the strategy is a living document. We're not wedded to it. If people can challenge in a constructive way and make us think of other global challenges, thank you. We need to do that. But thank you for sharing some of those thoughts. I think what we're going to do now is go on to the sort of member benefits. We've got another show reel for you. This one, I think, is this one about 4 or 5 minutes. You're going to hear sort of 3 different kind of conversations going on. One is from a regional point of view, how they collaborate. We've got secondments, goodness me, since COVID has in many countries, not all, got slightly more under control, we've seen a boom in secondments. Secondments being where one Kreston firm welcomes another member from another Kreston firm. So think about this if you haven't already. Can you welcome people? Would you like to send people? Then we're going to hear about our global groups and also our portal. So let's watch the video and then let's come back to our panel and get their views on some of the member benefits.
We are the biggest firm in Mexico of Kreston. We are around 300 people.
We are Kreston Colombia. We manage a big range of international clients.
I think that a lot of multinational companies see Latin America as one country, no, even though it's a region, no, because the culture and the language are really similar. So it's really important that if we catch a client, we are ready and we have the infrastructure to give services in all Latin America. That's why we have worked in having the same profile of firm. We have worked in creating this culture in Kreston firms, not be only local, being international, and have the skills and the culture to give attention to big international companies. Together, we meet one per year. We have a regional conference every year. So we try to be physically together, but our main point of contact is the annual conference and the WhatsApp group. And a very important point is that we talk the same language, no, except Brazil. But fortunately, our office in Brazil has people with very good Spanish also.
I think we have a really good relationship between us. Even that I'm far from them, I just have a WhatsApp a message and we answer very quickly. I think that is one of the things that we are very fast in our communications. Everybody knows that in every little single country, they can find a really good firm who they can trust and who they know that we are going to respond to the client at the same level that they manage their clients.
I moved over to London with Kreston Reeves, and it was an initial 6 months secondment, which actually turned into 2 years. It was there during the COVID time and I wanted to extend, and they were really accommodating with that. So I spent time working in the private clients tax team, and then I also spent time working within the corporate finance team. Here in Melbourne, we don't have a specific corporate finance, and that's a part of the business that I really wanted to get some experience in, and Kreston Reeves were great. They were really able to accommodate that and gave me a chance to get some exposure there. So now when I've come back, when we do have that type of work that comes through, I did some financial modelling and I did a business valuation about a month ago, which was great because that was the sort of experience I got overseas that I didn't actually able to get here. So that's probably some of the major benefits, things that I've been able to bring back home from doing the secondment. It's a great opportunity, creates a really good connection with other firms. One of the partners here came to me the other day and said, I need some, tax advice in the UK, like immediately. Our client wants to transfer some money. What are the tax implications and all that sort of stuff? And I was able to email my old line manager, my old senior manager, and he got back to him, within 12 hours, and the issue was sorted. And that's just one of the benefits. I think as a network, our managers and partners understand that this is an opportunity that we can offer to our younger staff members who are keen to do it. That sort of gives us that point of difference to other firms around. Like it's a great way to encourage young talent to come to our firm.
Hello, my name is Mark Taylor. I'm a director at Duncan & Topliss in the UK and also chair of the Kreston Global Tax Group. So my advice to new signing up members of the Kreston Global Network would be to get involved in the network, attend conferences, find out who the people are in the respective countries that are going to be of help to you and your clients, and generally get involved. I always think you get out what you put in. So, participate, join the online events that Kreston put on and organise, and make sure that you're visible to the network through the community portal, and that you've logged into the community portal, and that you have updated your details. People know what your specialisms are, what languages you speak, and yeah, get involved and enjoy it. It's a great network.
How nice to hear some stories around the world. Always nice to see Francisco and Natalia from Latin America, Jack from Australia, and of course, Mark Chloe from your firm. So do thank him. You can go and thank him directly for us. But always nice. These aren't just friends of Crescent. These people run Crescent with us. It's the whole point, isn't it? It's a member organisation, and those members that step forward help run the network. So let's find out a bit more from our panel, though, about member benefits. Let's get practical, everybody. Chloe, may I start with you, maybe? How do you see, I mean, you spoke a bit about being connected and things like that and knowing where to go, but practically, how do you see the network helping your firm, say?
In terms of helping the firm, I think probably the key benefit is the projects that it brings. Okay. In terms of an example, actually, it's probably the easiest way to talk about it.
Great, an example's great.
We've quite recently carried out a piece of work for a client who's a UK company that was looking to acquire a Spanish business. And he came to us and he said, look, you know I need to carry out due diligence and things, but I don't know where to turn, what the next steps are. And we were able to actually work alongside Kreston IBA Audit to do a complete due diligence process with us as a single point of contact. And the client really appreciated that.
That's just great. That's great. And was it a fun experience, just beyond the professional side?
Yeah, definitely. And it was really interesting to meet new people from Spain, sort of find out a bit about those. And also the benefit is with making those contacts in the future, if there's any work that I can refer to them or vice versa, that option's available.
That's great. And Chloe, I'm going to sort of guess, if you met a client tomorrow or today who suddenly started to talk about Spain, would you be confident to speak to that client quite enthusiastically about what you can do?
Yeah, I think I definitely would. And, even in the instance that perhaps I wasn't confident or I wasn't sure, I could definitely be in the position to say, look, I think we could help you. I think we might have someone that could help you. Let me get back to you on that.
That's great. That's just your lived experience, isn't it, of having worked with them and it worked for you and the client. That's nice. Thanks for giving us a very specific example. So let me go and ask John James. Let's visit South Africa. So in what ways do you see your firm actually developing relationships with other firms? Because we've talked about it, but what do you see from your firm and have you benefited from it?
So yeah, we actually do have been benefiting from it. We got a referral from one of the other Kreston companies to do some work, and that's quite exciting. So that's coming up now. It's a project. Nice. So, yeah, and it I think it sparks a fire within the trainee group to work hard and then to get a opportunity to work on that project. So now they are also enthusiastic about it, because normally we aren't at the moment doing any secondments. So okay. We are open for secondments, and that would be a great experience, because I also like what was explained is through the videos, the experience you get at the other firms, you bring back to your own firm, and you can implement that, and then already you're a step in front of your competition, and already it's fun. It's fun to hear about what happens in other firms, what's the similarities, what's the benefits, what can you bring to the table. And I think that is a great way to like increase our presence as well, and build the relationships. Otherwise, like Arjun said, forums like this, having chats like this, just in general with other firms, like maybe if you can get to other panelists from other firms, and have this on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, just have a chat on general topics, not necessarily technical queries. We can make another forum for technical queries where you can actually post a question and then you can get some advice from other people, like in terms of IFRS, because that's standard internationally. So that should also be great, because some firms handle other stuff differently, and that would be a great way to see how other people handle difficult issues, economic developments, and client queries. And there's always something you can learn from another firm. So
I like that idea, John James, because secondments are fantastic. I encourage you, your firm, all of you to engage in them. But they are greater commitments. I love Jack's story. I went for 6 months. It carried on for 2 years. But anyway, so that's quite a commitment. But what you're saying is we could also host something like this, where people just get to know each other in maybe a lighter way. John James, would you suggest we do that more with our rising stars or future managers as their own group? Would that be quite helpful and interesting? Yeah,
definitely, because if there isn't a presence of a authority figure, if we can put it like that, they're more inclined to speak from the heart and just have a general conversation. But I also feel that from management points going up to partner level and director level, there should also be a communication line direct for them as well to discuss more relevant topics. And this just ties back to sustainability, like what we discussed in the previous video. Like our rising stars are the future.
Yes.
So if we can build them and encourage them and to take this brand forward and to just make it their own and build that image now on, and then just make it a global network in terms of unison through these videos, like, or for those panels, because they can discuss anything and see, oh, wait, is this similar? Because I'm actually part of another group for the futures, Rising Stars, and for Crescent Introduction Week and everything. So there's a few projects going on, like, you know, and I actually spoke to Toby from another firm. Okay. That's a customer, and we actually had some similarities what's going on in our firm and their firm, and it was quite nice to see.
Yeah, nice. I like that, John James. I'll put that down as an action point and see how we can do that, be even above and beyond the comments. Try and keep, you know, we've been running for, actually it was a sort of COVID thing. We did something called Coffee with Kreston, which took all sorts of different forms. We've had a Spanish lesson one because of Madrid. We've had, and they're kind of drop-ins, like bring your coffee when we were all lonely during COVID and come and talk to your colleagues. But they've carried on going, and I think your idea is a good one. So let's see what we can do on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let me stay in South Africa. Why not, Carla? So talking about member firm benefits and other things we could do, what are the other sort of issues that could be important to you that we need to tackle to bring benefits to your member firm?
So another big challenge that we have in South Africa is to meet the needs of our clients and also the requirements of our audit regulator. So I think one of the things we can benefit from globally is maybe to receive some training on how to make use of technology,
okay,
to perform audits more efficiently, and maybe even make use of data tools and things to provide more forward-looking information, which I think clients are much interested in, rather than looking at historical information. Rather. Yes.
So it's interesting. You'll see, Carla, when we launch our strategy, one of the pillars, we talk about 6 strategic pillars. One of our pillars, which is a new one actually, is called, I think it's called future proofing, and it is about maybe just trying to get a bit of a view of what's around the corner to share with our clients and things. So okay, and technology, I think that's very, very helpful. Now I have got a question in from the floor which I'm going to ask, but then I'm going to let you think about it. So one of the questions in from the floor is, we heard Mark Taylor speaking about what you put in, you get out of the network. What other advice would you give to new members to expand their network within Crescent? So that's going to be the question, but I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to think about it while I speak to Arjun. So Arjun, you're obviously brand new to the network. When you think about your career, what sort of skills, projects or topics do you think will help you progress your career? What are you really looking for here?
Right. So as I predominantly work in the area of audit, I think some of the most important traits that an auditor needs to have is problem solving.
Okay.
As it is important for an individual to have a really sound judgment to handle issues that can be complex, but you might not be able to go by the book, but you need to trust your judgment that comes with your experience. So that's one. And I think another important thing that you can focus on is to be versatile. As you're in audit, you might have to switch from one particular company to another, which can be in a different industry. So I think keeping track of all these things is very important. So versatility is one of the most important things as well. And this is my favorite one, communication skills. So it's not about just having your grammar and phonetics in place, but also having a logical flow while you deliver your message to the receiver. So that's one of the most important things. In intuition, to visualize how you're going to be doing a particular task, to have each step in place. So these are the skills I believe are imperative for an individual to be a professional. And I also think this particular quote, which says, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." And in a never evolving complexity in the markets, and dynamism is just growing in every single industry because of the influx of data. I think it's important that individuals have a new skill that they can learn, or if they can have a new particular software that they know, they could use that spare capacity in another department, and that would be, again, a synergy. So again, these kind of workshops could be one of the best ways how individuals can hone their skills and be better at different areas of being a professional. So yes, that's what I believe.
That's great. Thank you. That's really great. Thank you very much. So before I was just speaking to Arjun, I asked a question. Now I think any of you can unmute yourselves and see if you want to add anything. So the question was, what advice would you give to a new member to expand their network within Kreston? Who would like to unmute themselves and answer that question from the floor? Oh, Chloe, you were first to unmute. Let's hear what you got to say.
So for me, IVIA is a fantastic tool and is pretty invaluable. I know this week, as part of the Rising Stars and social media, we've worked quite closely with Lindsay and the Kreston LinkedIn page to put together some videos and testimonials for a number of firms across the globe, and enabling other member firms and, members all the way from trainees to board members and directors. It's having that flag in their mind. So, okay, there's this firm we've perhaps not considered, or look at these services they can provide.
That's great. I must say, I really enjoyed Monday, that social media takeover. Did you do some of the, I love the TikTok videos where people were walking on their way to work, which I thought was brilliant fun. They were showing how they got to work. And I thought that was,
we worked together to put together some TikTok videos, which has been quite a learning curve, because I know, for example, from our side, none of us had used TikTok before. But, it was interesting. It was great fun to work with people to put them together.
Yeah. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's also like, as you say, I mean, we're never, well, maybe we are, but we're probably not TikTok experts, but you did it and it's fun. And the posts you put on social media told us something about you and your firm and your colleagues. So I think that is a great example. Thank you, Chloe, for stepping forward and answering that question. Unfortunately, time is ticking as always. I would personally like this to go on for a lot longer, but I know I'm probably not allowed. So I think what I have to do is to sort of thank our panel and really thank you for coming on, for sharing your stories. You're all different, you're from different parts of the world, you're at different levels of your career, you do different things, but you've been very open and you've shared to us your views. And I think the whole point of this session is to say that Kreston is a membership network. Let's never ever forget that. And it's for all of us, all of the members, to step forwards and tell us their views. And certainly, as a sort of chief executive, I need you to hold me to account and tell me you know, because I don't see it through your eyes. I can't. So you can just tell me what you see, and you can help me and say, look, you hadn't quite thought about technology, maybe quite enough in depth, or yeah, you're doing really well on ESG, keep going, or you know, I think you need to think more about this aspect. So that's very, very important, because I think on behalf of all of us, this is all of our network at the moment, all of our network, and it's all of ours to manage. But people like me, people, you heard Rich on the board, we've got the board of directors, you've got all the leaders in your own firm. All of them, I think, are going to be wanting to build organizations and firms which our future leaders will want to inherit. And that can't be a sharp thing. We're going to do it together. It's like a baton race. And I always believe we're both holding the baton at the moment. I can tell you what I see, and I need you to tell me what you see. And then ultimately, we'll be handing over that baton to our future leaders to run this network. I love seeing our history video of 50 or 51 years from our founder, what vision he had. And I hope we still have that vision. And when we hand over the network totally to you, you will continue with that vision and that legacy. And you'll be doing something like this with a 100-year-old video. So that would be great. So I think all I have to do is to say thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for joining us. This has been recorded, and let's do more of the same.